Good morning, everyone. Sorry about the noise outside. Maybe if I talk loud enough, they'll be quiet. Welcome. Today we're delving into one of the most enduring and intriguing myths in human culture, the deal with the devil. And this story has appeared across centuries, taking on many forms, and it continues to fascinate us because it sits at the crossroads of ambition, morality, and fear. Why do we keep returning to this story? Generation after generation has done this, and we'll examine why this myth persists and what it reveals about our deepest desires and anxieties. As we explore, I invite you to consider, what is it about this tale that is so powerfully captures our imagination? What does it mean to make a deal with the devil? Well, at its heart, it's a metaphor, the idea of exchanging something profoundly valuable, such as one's soul, integrity, or humanity, for a tempting offer like fame or fortune or power. This theme appears in nearly every culture because it speaks to a universal truth. The allure of great rewards often comes with hidden costs because it challenges our values. What are our values? The enduring appeal of this myth lies in its reflection of our own struggles with temptation, ambition, and the different choices that shape our lives. By recognising these patterns in stories from different places and times, we see how the myth taps into our shared anxieties about what we're willing to risk for what we desire the most. One of the most famous versions is the Faust legend. I'm sure you've all heard of it. It's in European folklore, Faust was a scholar who was dissatisfied with his life, and he made a pact with Mephistopheles, the devil's agent, in exchange for his soul for unlimited knowledge and pleasure. Writers like Christopher Marlowe and Goethe immortalised this tale, but each offered a distinct interpretation. Marlowe's Dr. Faust centres on the tragic consequences of overreaching ambition, highlighting the perils of forsaking one's soul for earthly gain, while Goethe's Faust delves into the complexities of human desires and possibility of redemption, portraying Faust as a figure who ultimately seeks meaning, that's better, and transcendence beyond mere pleasure. Together, these works have turned Faust into a timeless symbol of human ambition and its consequences. In the heart of American folklore, the tale of Robert Johnson stands out. A blues musician whose meteoric rise from a modest guitarist to a master of the genre is shrouded in mystery and legend. So it was said that one moonless night in the 1930s, Johnson found himself at the lonely crossroads, perhaps at the fabled intersection of Highway 49 and 61 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. There, according to legend, he encountered the devil, handed over his guitar to be tuned by supernatural hands, and emerged with an uncanny brilliance and left audiences spellbound. The transformation was so sudden and extraordinary that those around him struggled to explain it. One of Johnson's contemporaries would later remark that Johnson had returned with a hellhound on his tail, his playing seemingly touched by something otherworldly. It was out of this awe and suspicion that the myth flourished among fellow musicians. It's a dramatic story crafted to make sense of Johnson's unearthly skill after his mysterious absence to hone his craft. The legend spread like wildfire, deepening the enigmatic aura surrounding both his music and the man himself, blending admiration with an undercurrent of dread. The crossroads where Johnson is said to have struck his fatal bargain is far more than a place on a map. In folklore around the world, from ancient Greece, the Greek tales of Hecate, the goddess of magic and the underworld, to West African spiritual traditions and European ghost stories, the crossroads is a liminal place, a haunting threshold where destinies are chosen and paths converge. And it symbolises not only decisions and transformations, but also the unseen forces that shape fate. For Johnson, the crossroads becomes a literal and symbolic stage. It was here that his talent was born anew, and the legend took on a life of its own. The image of a lone figure waiting at midnight, guitar in hand and shadowed by uncertainty, captures the drama and allure that continues to surround Johnson's legacy. Whether or not Johnson ever made that infamous deal, the myth has immortalised him, entwining his story with the mystique of the blues and the eternal mystery of what we're willing to risk for genius. Many musicians throughout history have been rumoured to possess almost supernatural inspiration. These stories reflect both admiration and suspicion of those who achieve brilliance beyond comprehension. According to widespread legend, Niccolo Paganini's extraordinary violin prowess seemed so uncanny that whispers of a Faustian bargain shadowed his every performance. It is reported in the Royal College of Music, his unparalleled virtuosity pushed the boundaries of what audiences believed was possible, leading many to suspect that such talent could only be the result of a pact with darker forces. This speculation found fertile ground in Paganini's mysterious appearance, his tall, gaunt figure, elongated fingers and pallid complexion, possibly the result of illness or what's called Marfan syndrome. It bestowed him with a spectral, almost supernatural aura. This haunting visage, in turn, reinforced the myth of the demonic violinist, linking the visual spectacle with tales of infernal influence. If you go on to Classic FM, it notes that Paganini's personal life further fanned the flames of rumour. His reputation as a flamboyant drinker, inveterate gambler, and notorious womanizer added an edge of danger to his character. These elements woven together painted him as both a protege and an outsider, someone apart from the ordinary world. His eccentric performance style, often foregoing sheet music and relying on sheer memory and innovation, lent this uncanny sense of spontaneity and mystery, enhancing his figure at the crossroads of genius and the unknown. In a time when the Romantic era's fascination with the Gothic and the Faustian myth ran high, Paganini, his deliberate cultivation of a dark persona became both his signature and his shield. The legend reached fever pitch as even more outlandish stories circulated. Whispered claims of Paganini's fashioning violin strings from a woman's intestines, trapping souls inside his instrument, or even receiving ghostly assistance from the devil himself. Each rumour, whether born of fear, admiration, or sheer wonder, became another thread in the tapestry of his mythos. In the end, these interwoven tales not only ensured Paganini's immortality in musical history, but also cast him as the quintessential romantic virtuoso, a figure whose gifts and the price he supposedly paid for them continue to haunt our imagination. Someone else is Giuseppe Tartini. He was a distinguished Italian violinist as well and composer, born in 1692. His career flourished during the Baroque period. He was widely respected for his technical mastery and imaginative composition. The most enduring legend attached to Tartini's name took place late in his life. At the age of 78, Tartini recounted a vivid dream that would shape his legacy. And in this dream, he imagined striking a pact with the devil, who appeared before him and accepted his services. And as the dream unfolded, the devil seized Tartini's violin and began to play with such dazzling virtuosity and beauty that Tartini was left awestruck, convinced that he could never conceive of such music himself. The sheer intensity of the performance in this dream deeply moved him, filling him with both awe and inspiration. Awakening from this extraordinary vision, Tartini was compelled to capture the music that he'd just heard. Driven by the lingering echoes of the devil playing, he immediately set about composing what would become his most famous masterpiece, the Violin Sonata in G minor, now famously known as the Devil's Trill Sonata. This work is distinguished by its technical demands particularly the use of rapid trills and intricate passages that continue to challenge even the most accomplished violinists today. The sonata's haunting origins have ensured its place in cultural folklore, embodying the current theme of artists playing making Faustian bargains for the sake of a transcendent talent. Tommy Johnson and P.T. Wheatstraw. Tommy Johnson was an American Delta blues musician, celebrated for his eerie falsetto voice and intricate guitar playing. Johnson famously claimed to have made a deal with the devil to become a master of the guitar, a legend that, while echoing the more widely known tale of Robert Johnson, to whom he was not related, by the way, highlights a recurring theme in blues mythology. The story of bargaining with the devil symbolises the mysterious origins of musical talent and has become an enduring part of blues folklore, or even finding its way into popular culture through its depiction in the film Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And then there's P.T. Wheatstraw. He was a celebrated blues pianist and singer who rose to prominence in the 1930s and 40s. Wheatstraw left a lasting mark on the evolution of urban blues. He was equally famous for his flamboyant stage persona, often billing himself as the devil's son-in-law or the high sheriff of hell, embracing the era's fascination with the supernatural. Wheatstraw claimed to have sold his soul at a crossroads for unparalleled musical ability, a myth, as I've said, also famously associated with Robert Johnson. So by adopting these legends and this devilish moniker, Wheatstraw enhanced his mysterious allure and cemented his place in blues folklore. We've got some great names. Jelly Roll Morton, I wonder what he liked to eat, one of jazz's earliest and most influential figures, was surrounded by myths of supernatural intervention throughout his career. According to interviews with Morton and accounts from his contemporaries, he often spoke of supernatural influences in his life. Local New Orleans folklore holds that his godmother, a well-known practitioner of voodoo in the city, was said to have made a pact with Satan on his behalf when he was just a child. And that allegedly secured his musical gifts through occult means. Morton reportedly believed that he himself had later sold his soul to Satan, and some stories suggest that his death occurred not long after his own godmother's, reinforcing the legend of their intertwined fates and the enduring link between jazz and the occult and the quest for extraordinary talent. Even today, the myth persists. Celebrities, especially in the musical industry, are often accused of having sold their souls to the devil in exchange for fame. Strange hand gestures immortalised by Ronnie James Dio and, of course, Gene Simmons from the band Kiss. In a conference talk I discussed, and it's on YouTube so you can see it, the subject and the truth behind these hand gestures. So According to Dio, it was a good luck symbol that he'd learned from his mother, so I won't go into that today. You can see the other video online. So the concept of pop stars making a deal with the devil is still persistent in legend. And of course we have the king himself. The idea that Elvis made a deal with the devil encompasses both metaphorical and literal interpretations. On one hand, some viewed the phrase as a tongue-in-cheek explanation for Elvis's extraordinary musical ability, suggesting half-jokingly that his talent was so unprecedented that it must have supernatural origins. On the other hand, others took the idea more seriously, believing his meteoric rise to fame was the result of an actual pact with dark forces. And this distinction is significant as it highlights how myths around Elvis's talent have been used both to celebrate his genius and to fuel moral panic about the supposed dangers of rock and roll. And that's why he was sent into the army, was because of this idea of his immorality. 1956 article, Did the Devil Send Elvis Presley, which was published in Look magazine, asked whether his music was the work of Satan, capturing the anxieties of the era. Popular culture, the 2022 film Elvis, amplifies this theme by portraying Colonel Tom Parker as a shadowy, almost demonic figure who manipulates Elvis's life and career, reinforcing the notion of a Faustian bargain. Fan discussions and folklore have continued to draw in these connections between Elvis and otherworldly performances and the myth of a deal with the devil, adding further layers to his enduring legacy. John Lennon. It's said that John Lennon made a deal with the devil. It's a theory promoted by, I'll try and say this, Joseph Niezgoda's book, The Lennon Prophecy. And he posits that Lennon made a 20-year pact for fame and fortune in 1960, with the debt being paid by his murder in 1980. But this idea is widely considered baseless conspiracy theory. I've not read the book myself, and I'm not really greatly into conspiracy theories, so probably won't. The Rolling Stones, with the working title The Devil Is My Name, Sympathy for the Devil, emerged from the Rolling Stones' 1968 recording sessions as a daring exploration of evil's hand in history. Jagger's provocative first-person narrative places Satan at the heart of pivotal events: the crucifixion of Christ, the Russian Revolution, the Nazi Holocaust, and the assassination of John F. and Robert F. Kennedy. Each moment was carefully chosen for its symbolic weight, representing eras of upheaval, violence, and moral crisis that forever altered the course of civilization. These historical milestones serve as touchstones for the song's central theme, the omnipresence of darkness, and how evil threads through the tapestry of human affairs, sometimes lurking in the shadows, sometimes standing brazenly in the spotlight. Marianne Faithfull memorably reflected, the only reason that the Stones were not destroyed by their ideas that the ideas they toyed with is that they never took them seriously. They never took them as seriously as their fans. Mick never for one moment believed that he was Lucifer. This sense of theatrical flirtation with the macabre extended beyond the music itself. The Stones' association with the occult didn't end with sympathy for the devil. Keith Richards' partner, Anita Pallenberg, became a lightning rod for speculation due to her bohemian lifestyle, her presence at the heart of the band's excesses, and the swirling vortex of drugs and debauchery that defined their era. Biographers such as Victor Bogris and interviews from the period suggest that Pallenberg's reputation for dabbling in dark arts was as much a product of her unconventional choices and the fevered imagination of the media as any real involvement. Her mystique was forged in the crucible of rock and roll legend, forever entwined with the Stones' mythos and the allure of forbidden knowledge. Bon Jovi used the phrase "deal with the devil" metaphorically in a Metro interview in June 2024 to describe his struggles during a health battle, including emotional and physical issues from a vocal cord injury that made him feel he couldn't continue his career. After her early Christian music career didn't take off as planned, Katy Perry stated, "I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music and it didn't work out, so I sold my soul to the devil." As you do. Kanye West, the rapper, he rapped, "I sold my soul to the devil, that's a crappy deal," from Eyes Closed on the album The Blueprint. He also made a lyric about a deal with the devil in his 2009 song, Devil in a New Dress. But more recently, particularly in his Sunday services around 2020, he spoke about the music industry as if the devil was taking musicians and designers and forcing them to make contracts that would prevent them from saying the name Jesus. Jay-Z. Some fans have accused Jay-Z of selling his soul to the devil, fueled by conspiracy theories. The idea of a deal with the devil associated with Jay-Z is a popular theory and conspiracy that stems from his music and his lyrics, particularly the use of symbols of a devilish figure and other occult symbolism. However, he has revealed that the diamond symbol is a symbol of selling 10 million records. That's all it is. It was just something he came up with and it stuck, and then it stuck with the fans. Not yet. Throughout music history, tales of deals with the devil have served as metaphors for the struggles that artists face with addiction, the temptations of fame, and the pressure to succeed, blurring the line between myth and reality. Making a deal with the devil has come to symbolise not only selling out, but also grappling with your inner demons and the high personal cost of public success. For instance, Robert Johnson's legendary Crossroads myth and the recurring devil imagery in songs like the Rolling Stones' Sympathy for the Devil. These highlight how the motif recurs at pivotal moments in music history. Yet despite these well-known examples, there's always the seed of doubt. What if these stories aren't just metaphors? We're conditioned now to laugh these things off, but the devil remains hidden in plain sight, woven into songs and titles and performances, often appearing when artists are at the height of their fame. The Illuminati, a group that allegedly influences fame, fortune, and creative direction, has its roots in the historical Bavarian Illuminati. And this Enlightenment era secret society was founded on May the 1st, 1776, in the electorate of Bavaria, with the stated aim of opposing superstition, promoting liberalism, and limiting the influence of religion over public life, as well as abuses of state power by monarchs. The order of the day, they wrote in their general statutes, is to put an end to the machinations of the purveyors of injustice, to control them without dominating them. So while the original society was short-lived, the term Illuminati has since evolved to represent a variety of alleged secret organisations in popular culture. Illuminati is now often used to refer to various groups thought to be continuations of the original Bavarian Illuminati, although no direct links have ever been substantiated. These organisations are frequently accused in conspiracy theories of conspiring to control world affairs, masterminding events, placing agents in governments and corporations, and striving to establish a new world order. Central to many of these theories is the image of the Illuminati as a shadowy figure manipulating global affairs from behind the scenes. While some say there's little evidence to support these claims of a modern Illuminati controlling world events, the idea persists in popular culture and internet discussions as well. In the realm of entertainment, some shows and performances appear to feature occult or esoteric symbolism, which just fuels speculation about Illuminati influence. For instance, music videos and stage performances sometimes incorporate images such as the pyramid, all-seeing eye, or hand gestures commonly associated with Illuminati myths and Freemasonry as well. However, artists frequently explain these choices as forms of artistic expressions or references to broader cultural themes, not as evidence of secret societies. This ongoing debate highlights how symbolism can be interpreted in multiple ways and serves to perpetuate the enduring fascination with the Illuminati in the public imagination. Why does the legend of making a deal with the devil endure? First, it helps explain the unexplainable, how some people seem to achieve genius or power overnight. Second, the legend serves as a warning against unchecked ambition, reminding us of the dangers of wanting too much. And finally, it reveals cultural anxieties, our fear that ambition leads to corruption, or that greatness always comes at a hidden cost. These themes can be further broken down as follows. An explanation for exceptional skill. The legend of making a deal with the devil offers a simple explanation for why someone might possess extraordinary talent, especially if their journey to that skill isn't easily understood or witnessed. So, in other words, ignorance on our part. Metaphorical representation. The legend of making a deal with the devil can also serve as a metaphor for the excesses, dangers, and darker side of the music industry, the rock and roll lifestyle. For instance, stories about musicians making pacts with dark forces often reflect real-life struggles with fame, with addiction, or exploitation within the industry. And then we've got folklore traditions. The legend of making a deal with the devil is a common theme in folklore and fiction, with tales existing long before the musicians that I've spoken about today. Every legend of a deal with the devil revolves around sacrifice. The person gains fame, fortune, or knowledge, but loses peace, integrity, or eternity. This theme is vividly illustrates in stories like that Faust exchanged his soul for forbidden wisdom, or blues musician Robert Johnson, who according to folklore traded his soul at crossroads for his musical talent. Such tales force us to ask, is greatness worth the cost? For some, it's a resounding yes. For others, the price is too steep. This tension between desire and morality is what gives the myth its enduring power, inviting each of us to reflect on where we might draw the line. The Devil's Deal remains timeless because it taps into fundamental aspects of human nature: ambition, temptation, and fear. We witness this in literature throughout the tales of Faust, his forbidden knowledge and fleeting power, only to grapple with the profound consequences of his bargain. Each time these stories resurface, whether in novels, songs, or the saga of modern celebrity, they remind us that the choices we make and the prices that we pay are the ink with which we write our own stories. So let me leave you with a final question. If you were offered everything you ever wanted, fame, fortune, knowledge, success, size 10 figure in my case, but a terrible price, would you take the deal?